Hey guys, welcome back. Recently I just finished up my Grimdark Craftworld Mymeara Wraithguard test model in preparation for my upcoming Phantom Titan project. So I thought I'd show you the painting process and the model itself to hopefully get some feedback from you guys before I start the larger Phantom Titan project. So let's get into it. The model itself is a 3D print, which came in two parts, the upper body and the lower body, and I just cut the head from the model so I could paint it separately. And the first part of the process is to add some pre-damage to the model before priming. Firstly by taking a sharp hobby knife or scalpel and just using that to make some scratches, cuts and chips at random places all over the model. And this will make the battle damage much more realistic compared to painting on the damage with a brush. And then I'll just go in with some textured basing paste and apply this to some selected areas, like the bottom of the feet and in between some of the recesses as well. And you can also use this to build up some pre-texture for any areas that you want to add some rust effects later on in the process. After that was done, I then primed the model in black, followed by a coat of dark brown, and in my case that was Army Painter Tree Ancient, with the idea being that the brown is going to act as the chipping and damage colour. But before I can apply any damage, I need to apply a coat of some chipping medium. And I just brushed this on to all of the armour panels, which in the next step will be painting green. And I just applied one coat of this and left the model for about 10 to 20 minutes to air dry. Next I'm going to be applying the armour colours using the Army Painter Turquoise Triad. Firstly by applying the darkest colour in a zenithal fashion over all of the armour panels. And then for the two lighter colours, just coming in from above and applying some small spot highlights. And by doing this, it should apply some basic volumetric highlights to all of the armour panels. Once that had been applied, I then went in with a used airbrush cleaning needle, but any sharp and pointy implement would do here. And I'm going to use this to create some additional battle damage on the model. Firstly by wetting the area I want to apply the damage, which should reactivate the chipping medium underneath the armour colour, which will then allow me to go in with the needle and make some additional scratches and chips across the model. And I just go from armour panel to armour panel, applying the water followed by the weathering, and then moving on to the next panel. It was then time to paint in the rest of the trim on the model. And for this model I used Vallejo Oily Steel to paint in the vents on the chest. I then used Army Painter Worn Stone, followed by a dry brush highlight of matte white, to paint in the gun and the armour fins on the back as well. And for both these areas I applied 2 coats of the Worn Stone, before then applying a quick dry brush highlight of the matte white. I'm then going to tear a small piece off of a sponge, and I'm going to use that with the same brown chipping colour that I used previously to very lightly sponge on some additional chipping damage to all of these white areas, paying extra focus to make sure that I hit all of the edges on these areas as well. And for this model there was only one gem on the chest, and I used the Army Painter Magenta Triad to paint this up. However, when it does come to the Phantom Titan, there will be a lot more magenta areas. And for this gem I just base coated in the darkest colour, and then used the lighter colours to gradually build up the highlights. Next it was time to paint in the helmet, and to do that I used the Army Painter Vivid Blue Triad, just applying a gradually smaller spot highlight to the centre of the helmet, and also the very top tip as well. Next up, it was time to apply some enamel washes. And for this I'm going to be using a 2-to-1 mix of Goon's Grime and Ichor of the Damned, which makes a really nice dark brown wash, which when applied and then removed, gives the model a really dirty, grimdark feel. And I'm going to be applying this undiluted, and applying it to all parts of the model. And after leaving that to dry for around 10 to 15 minutes, I then come in with a wedge-shaped makeup sponge, dipped in a very small amount of white spirits, and use this to wipe away any of the excess pigment from all of the raised areas on the model. And the final step in the process is to add some rust effects to the model. And to do that, I'll be using Villainy Inc.'s Sector Rust, which I used for the first time in my previous video, and it's now become my favourite go-to rust colour, which has a really nice and vivid orange colour, which provides some really nice contrast to the turquoise of the armour. And for the most part, I'll be applying 2 coats of this to each area that I want this rust effect. And that's the model now complete, apart from the basing. And I'll be doing that off camera using Kraut Cover Snowy Highland Pass. And now that I've had a little bit of practice on how to paint an Eldar model in the Grimdark style, I think I'm now ready to take on the Phantom Titan. And I'm fairly certain that I'm going to go with this same Grimdark style, rather than the kind of clean-cut style that I painted my Eldar previously. But let me know which style you prefer best, and which one you want me to paint the Phantom Titan in. And I'll try and put a side-by-side photo of both models at the end of this video. But for now, it's time for me to go and start to prep the Titan to be painted. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.